down and start some peace movement or, you know, inspire it to regenerate or whatever, you know. I'm not that, yeah, anyway. You know, I really want to hear what other people think or, you know, think about what I've said or think about the peace movement in general, anything that you guys want to talk about now. Charles.
A big threat to our achieving peace is nuclear weapons.
Absolutely.
One of the hopeful things that happened was a treaty prohibiting nuclear weapons was signed and has been ratified by enough countries that it's actually in effect now. Unfortunately, none of the countries that actually have nuclear weapons have signed on to the treaty. So some of us are trying to get the U.S. to lead the way and get the U.S. to ratify this treaty. And we think that that would encourage other countries to do that. So locally, this last Monday, we went to the Albuquerque City Council meeting to try to get them to join other cities that have urged our federal government to ratify this treaty. Unfortunately, we failed at the City Council, but we haven't given up. We're going to keep trying with the council. We're probably going to try the county commission and maybe even the state legislature. But we think this is important enough that we shouldn't give up.
Yes.
We have a similar relationship in Santa Fe going on right now. I haven't introduced it yet to the people in Santa Fe. The veterans for peace in Santa Fe are working on their own individual representative state, city council members is what I'm trying to say. And they're talking to the council sponsors for some 60 cities in the United States have passed resolutions calling on the United States to support the treaty for the prohibition of nuclear weapons.
Right. Yeah, I think our local peace action community just had our city, Bloomington, Indiana, signed on to that. Yeah.
And we're in the belly of the beast here. We've got Ozana's National Lab building nuclear weapons every day.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many shocking things going on, right? You know, draw up a treaty and sign it and then immediately break it out. I don't understand. Yes.
Well, I think I did make that decision a long time ago personally, like you said, influencing the world for peace is my purpose on this planet. And kind of like you're saying, like, if you think that peace isn't possible, it's obviously not going to happen. But if you think that it is possible, there's at least 50-50 chance. I mean, so that you have nothing to lose, right, or whatever. I mean, you can't lose anything by actually believing that peace is possible, because for sure it will be go another direction.
Right.
So, and I'm like you. It's like, honestly, it's a big task, but it's not infinite, because the amount of space, the surface of the earth is finite, and then the people here is relatively finite. And actually, most people are at peace on an individual level. There's always things, but nobody, how do they put it? At least live in that level, or at least at that level, but they just want to live their lives and have their families and stuff like that, And it's just, we kind of get taken by the nose by some of these bigger structures still that we still have yet to dissolve. So.
Right. Yeah.
January 1st, 2019. I've had visions all my life for like 60 years and see things that are coming.
Could you speak up just a little bit? I can't hear you, and probably other people can't.
January 1st, 2019. I've had visions all my life, I see things and they happen. delegation that was going to claim sovereignty for the earth, and it was green, and it was beautiful, and it was like, so I don't know how we get there, but I know we will, so.
Yes.
So keep the faith.
Yes, absolutely, keep the faith. Yes.
I think there's a chicken and egg question, but one that actually has an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, what comes first, justice or peace? And I think the answer is, without peaceful means, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace.
Yeah, I think they have to come together, right? Mm-hmm.
And I was just gonna say, what we do in New Mexico is very important, because we have a lot of nuclear karma here.
Yeah.
The first atom bomb was developed here and detonated here in New Mexico. And there's a lot of people that are suffering the after effects of the radiation, because they weren't given any warning, they're just living their lives in this rural area.
Oh my gosh.
And also we have Los Alamos National Labs that are producing nuclear weapons here in the state, and it's a big industry. That's probably why it's so difficult for you to make headway with the city council, because between oil and gas and nuclear power, that's what New Mexico funds New Mexico.
Yeah.
A significant amount of money comes in, so it's really important to keep trying, even though it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, another thing that I think is really important is, is to, lead the way by living the way, which I know is sometimes harder, because, right now we have, certain laws where you can't even do green building or something like that, because, it's prohibited by some, archaic law or something like that. But I really do feel like we have so many answers, we have green building, we have, we have good organic, food sources, we have so many answers, we have, restorative justice, paradigms that we could be using, which are being used up in Colorado, actually, is one of the most, common places for, restorative justice right now, hotbed of restorative justice that I know of. What else? So, just, yeah. Miles?
One of the things that has given me some hope that things could change in a positive direction is my involvement with a group called Braver Angels, which is a political depoliticization group, a grassroots group.
Yeah, just a little louder, please.
Sorry.
Sorry.
One of the things that gives me a little hope is my involvement with a group called Braver Angels, which is a political depolarization group. And I've learned to facilitate some of those workshops and whatnot, and the basic idea there is that we at the community level need to learn to talk to each other. And so Braver Angels is giving a safe place for people to come into these workshops. And that's given me a lot of hope, because I've always believed that when individuals get together and actually discuss, talk about real life issues and what's important to them, that whatever they're labeled politically or conservative or liberal or whatever, we really have more in common.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm, find hope in also is that there are peace organizations now that are really truly becoming global with, there's one, World Beyond War. I don't know if you're familiar with that. David Hartzog started that a few years ago. And World Beyond War is partnering with 5 other national nonprofits from all over the world. I know it started in Australia, and this is to boycott Lockheed Martin. Have you heard about this, Charles?
I'm familiar with World without war.
Yeah, beyond war.
But I guess I'm not sure about that project.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, this is, yeah, well, I wanna have a resource sheet, but I didn't have it here, so I apologize for not having that. But, I just found out about that myself, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I know it's coming up this summer, maybe even in May, that this, they're calling for a worldwide boycott of Lockheed Martin. And I was not able to go find out more about that, because I was like, well, okay, I won't go there to buy my tanks anymore. I'm not quite sure how to boycott Lockheed Martin, but they must have an idea, because that's what they're calling for. And so, yeah, certainly, again, it's like we're signing these treaties, or why aren't we following them? And how do we get our country to follow them? I mean, I think that's it. You gotta hold their toes to the fire somehow.
If we're talking about encouraging things that happen that show that peace is possible, we can remember such things as the Christmas peace that occurred during
World War One.
World War One,
It was World War One.
where the enemies temporarily created a truce and actually exchanged gifts
Yes.
and danced and sang and celebrated the holiday together. And they refused to follow command orders to not do this and to stop this. They did it anyway. Unfortunately, after the holiday, they went back to killing each
The
other.
very next morning, they did, yeah.
But it shows that peace is possible.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I'm gonna add that into this show, in the next iteration of the show, which is, again, you guys are my guinea pigs. It's like, I kinda wanna know how much, what have you guys heard of? Have you guys, most of you know about the Christmas truce? Most of you? Yes, okay. So, and I'm curious, have most of you heard that it actually is true and it really happened, or have you heard that it is like a myth? It's true? Awesome! See, you guys. So, yeah, when I first heard about it, I had heard that it was something that, it's kind of a story, and it was really more of a myth, and it wasn't proven, Well, so I went and dug into it. There are some great videos on YouTube. One is by the Imperial War Museum, put out this video on this thing. It's only about 12 or 20 minutes long. It's not very long. I thought about putting it in here. It's that short, and it's so compelling. They actually find those guys. They find British soldiers, they find German soldiers, and they talk to them. And they have them firsthand talking about how they went out and played soccer together, how they shared brandy together. And the other thing that I love is that, you know how it started? One German soldier singing Silent Night. And the reason it really worked is because they all knew it, and they all started singing, and they say, you could hear them over there singing in French, and you could hear them over there singing in German, and you could hear the English, but it was all the same tune, and that gives me goosebumps. And I'm not sure, I'm afraid to tell you about my art, to say, change my slide, because I don't know where it is. So, go ahead and change the slide, though, because I've got to, okay. Yeah. My point with this slide was, just that we have to be happy, to be the change, just to remember all the good things in the world, cheerfulness is a weapon against the real enemies in life. which is discouragement, despondency, faithlessness, or despair. Deliberate cheerfulness allows us to stand our ground when all seems dark and the odds are against us, or relationships turn sour. So, yeah, I like that, cheerfulness as a weapon. Okay, and the next slide. Ah, yes, okay, this is the one I was looking for. Beware the movement that sings. Because if you're in a foxhole and there are, enough people know the song, it allowed them to start to sing together. And they said it was one German soldier. They said he had a beautiful tenor voice and he just started singing and they're like 200 yards apart or something like that. And then everybody just started singing. And then one soldier came out into the middle and another, and then they all came out. But the importance of that one soldier, it was just one, if you think about it, I'm sure those guys weren't sitting down in the foxhole going, hey, do you think we ought to go over there? I bet not. I bet not. My guess is that one guy said, I'm going over there. So, it's like our personal power. It's incredible. Yeah. So, so an idea that I have is that I want to begin, I'm going to begin holding like monthly Zoom meetings to sing. I want to create peace songs that have like very, very few words so that people from all over the world can learn them easily, just a few words, just maybe just go peace, but if you have 100 people from different countries all singing it and in different languages and things like that. So yeah, bringing together the world through song is one of my ideas, and I think this is, beware the movement that sings. And so some of the, there is the singing revolution, and in Estonia and Latvia, do you guys know that? Yeah, okay. So when the USSR, it was completely illegal for all of those countries, individual countries, to sing their own folk songs because they didn't want them to have their personal identity. And so Estonia especially, but also then Latvia and Lithuania jumped in. They started getting together in the streets. You'll see, go look it up online, there are like these hundreds of thousands of people on the streets singing folk songs in the face of the Russian army. Because, what are you going to do? Mow down a bunch of people who are singing? It doesn't look very good on you. So, also, South Africa had a huge effect. The music in South Africa had a huge effect on getting apartheid dropped, because they were just millions of people singing in the streets, singing and dancing. And again, there's a movie about that called Mandela. It's a really great movie. All right, and the next slide, what do we got? Okay, so the call to action. I've kind of gone through this, I think, to lead with our answers, to live the life, which as I say, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You guys are the ones who are already doing it, but, doing whatever we can do to green our homes, to, also this Harvard lady, professor, found that, boycotts and like not buying things and are more effective. It's not like you should only do that. I mean, there is a place for the rallies and the protests and people in the streets, but some of the biggest, most impactful things are buy local, as much as you can, buy local. And let's see, yeah, so, green building, green accounting, green commerce, green accounting. does anybody know anything about green accounting? Yeah, when I was in college in '93, I graduated in '93, and they were teaching us then about green accounting. And I'm pretty sure that's the last time I've ever heard of it, unfortunately. But what they were talking about, what they told us about was where you take into account like the actual cost of, say, of a sewage plant as opposed to the wetland that you destroy. Like forcing the accounting of the actual, so that's what green accounting is. Yeah, I already said 193 countries have already signed the UN resolution to make war illegal, and now we just need to enforce it. On Hidden Brain, nonviolence is twice as effective and becoming increasingly effective through the 21st century. And so worldpeacemovement.info is a website that I just bought and am putting together. So there's not much there now. It's just a placeholder. But this is where I hope to begin to collate all of this. And all of these ways. There are so many, like as I've started doing this, there are already international organizations that are coming together in bigger, groups and bigger groups to start to pull together the worldwide movement. So I guess the one call to action that I don't have up there is just to put peace out there in our lives in a more visible way. In things like, there's peace polls. Have you guys seen the peace polls that say, peace shall prevail on earth? You can get that to put in your garden. Any kind of, Veterans for Peace, any kind of, anything that just bring it out, start bringing it out. And especially now with Ukraine going on, there's a lot of things, for that specific thing, which is nice because it gives us something to focus on right now. But I think it's also, we need to just expand it, Personally, I like the big blue flags of the earth that are just from, big blue marble with no geopolitical lines on them. So I'm a big advocate of fly your earth flag. Do you guys have some other things to add to that? Obviously, this place, a place like the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice is just incredible. I wish we had one on every corner, certainly one in every city, at minimum.
And they began in anti-war and nuclear awareness and protesting and that sort of thing, so long tradition, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of, I think that there are a lot of things we can do to make ourselves more visible, and I think that there's a lot of reason to have hope that making ourselves visible, knowing that, if we can get 11 million people to try to push the Kellogg-Briand Peace Pact, or the, nuclear non-proliferation. There are so many things that we've already signed. It's just like, okay, now we've signed it, and we need 11 million people to say we want our country to do what it's said it's going to do.
So can we sing a song together?
Yes! Yes! The last slide! There we go. I bet you guys all know this one.